I have no application, or I don't know of any application by Asase Radio, which is pending before the NCA for allocation of channels on any platform. What I am aware of is that there is a huge backlog of applications spanning from 2017 when we took over. So this is not a new occurrence, but we're faced with a pandemic, which makes it difficult for us to even complete the switchover process because of the cost implications on broadcasters. So the discussions are, what do we do to free up excess capacity? Right now, if the state has need of broadcasting urgent communication to the public, it does not have any means of doing so. If national security has need of broadcasting urgent communication to the state, to the citizens, it has no means of doing so. It is critical for us at this juncture to be faced with a process in which the only platform for broadcasting to the populace, the capacity on it, is completely used up. And so it just makes sense, without reading any ulterior motives into it, to work to create additional capacity on it in the event that that capacity is needed.
Sam George, you have been speaking about this and raising constitutional questions about it. What exactly do you say has gone amiss? Of course, we know that the GBC itself has written to ask for this decision to be rescinded. We have seen the workers of GBC who have started some forms of demonstration at their premises. What exactly are we dealing with?
Thank you very much, Samson. We're dealing with an unnecessary attack on the state broadcaster by the government. And if you listen to the minister, let me just show you what that attack is. My submission will be three-pronged: legal, technical, political. The legal basis, if you read paragraph 4 of the minister's letter to GBC, she says, you will therefore be required to consolidate your programming in line with this directive. Now, when the minister asked GBC to consolidate programming, she's going into the issue of editorial discretion and policy of GBC. But Article 1624 of the Constitution says editors and publishers of newspapers and other institutions of the mass media, TV and radio included, shall not be subject to control or interference by government. This is the legal basis for me to say that the minister is acting in excesses of her power. This whole discussion on DTT is one that commenced much earlier, before she came into office. It was chaired at the time by then Minister Edward Omane-Boamah, had several stakeholder engagements, rounds of meetings with stakeholders without taking any allowance and all of that, and brought us to a position where we are today. The minister should have seen the DS, or the digital switchover, happen in 2017. Well, in 2020, that has not happened. Now, the minister in the soundbite you played said we need redundancy on the network, and that when government needs to broadcast information in times of a pandemic like we are, government has no platform. That, again, is incorrect and factually cannot be accepted. The state broadcaster is GBC. When the president did his 10 addresses on COVID to the nation, that was channeled to the people through GBC and other private media establishments. It cannot be said that the state broadcaster exists and government does not have a platform to air its views to the Ghanaian people. In fact, 6 channels on that DTT network are at the beck and call of the state. That is why they are called the state broadcaster. Again, the argument on redundancy and the need to drop, the minister contradicts herself. She says the multiplex has 40 channels. The 40 channels are full. And so we need to create redundancy by taking 3 of GBC's channels and 1 channel from Crystal TV. That is a technically flawed argument. It makes no sense technically, because the multiplex, there are 2 multiplexes at the head end as we have today. Each of those multiplexes have a capacity to run 20 channels. If they are running 40 channels, you cannot say that you need to drop it to 35 channels so that the multiplex work properly. The capacity of the multiplex is 40 channels. Again, in saying that you need to create redundancy by taking off channels, the minister comes back to tell us that there are other applications on her table that need to be addressed. So the argument here is you are taking the channels actually from GBC to reallocate them to private individuals. So then that argument, that defeats the argument of redundancy that she's making. In fact, when you talk about redundancy on the DTT platform, it has nothing to do with the number of channels. The minister, just as recently as 3 months ago, through her agency, the NCA, approved Room to Me TV and is still giving approvals for more TV channels. You know your head end is full, your multiplex is full, yet you are giving out more channels. Now you want to come and take the channels from GBC and hand over to private individuals. The argument again she makes that national security does not have the requisite space to do its transmissions is not true. Again, a false claim she makes. National security as it stands today does do its transmissions through the transmission grid of the GTV. Now, when you look at the DTT platform as it stands, there are 42 transmission sites. Of those 42 transmission sites, 32 of them are GBC legacy sites. And so it cannot be said that GBC has not brought anything to the table because you're using their sites for the deployment of the infrastructure. And that should give them even an equity stake in the whole discussion that we're having. So for me, when I listen to the minister and the argument that she's making, I'm asking myself, are we going to sit back and allow the Minister for Communication act in excess of her constitutionally mandated power and raid the GBC, take GBC channels and hand them over to a private individual?
Right.
But let me give you a typical example. Last year, and I end here, I see time. Last year, last year, the ministry tried to take away one channel from GBC and hand over to a private investor. The NMC had to step in and reverse that. Today, that channel is what we are using as the learning channel during the COVID pandemic. So you see the value of GBC and its stations to the country.
So thank you very much. Those are a lot of issues that you have canvassed within a very short time. And as we understand, we have run out of time, but this issue is an issue that we will take our time and discuss thoroughly. Samson. And God willing, next week, Saturday, we will return here and then also look at the matters arising as regards the Airbus situation. Kwekubaku wants to talk.
Look, let me advise government. Government should tread cautiously. I think both in terms of content and assets, I don't see government having much grounds on this matter. Let's trigger the National Media Commission into all these things.
The GBC boss had done it.
I think government should stay out of this.
Okay. Thank you very much. We have run out of time, but as you can see, we are continuing the celebration from last week, and this is from MTN. MTN, me, I've done birthday, so, but okay, this is to my senior, so that is fine. This is from MTN to you. The content is rather very heavy. That's why I just reminded MTN that me too, I subscribe to you. Why? My guests have been Abdul Malik Kwekubaku, Editor-in-Chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper, Dr. Okoboy, MP Lejokuku, and Deputy Health Minister. This morning we're just talking about how we started in Kumasi. Samuel Nete George, MP Ningo Pram constituency, and also ranking member of the Communications Committee in Parliament. Kofi Abochi joined us. He's Dean, UPSA Law School, and Godfred Yabua Dame, Deputy Attorney General and Minister for Justice, also joined us. Thank you also very much. I'm Samson Ladia Yanini. God willing, next week we come your way with another edition of Newsfile.